Good morning. It's time for High Five Monday and Chag Sameach. Chag Sameach means happy holiday in Hebrew. And today is a holiday, and I'll show you. You see this pink right here? Last night at sundown, of course, the Jewish day always begins at sundown because that's the way it started in creation. It was evening and then it was day. And so the evening starts at sundown, it starts the evening. And so here we have the first day of what is called Pentecost, that on the Hebrew calendar, it's called Shavuot. And here we have it. So today is the first day of Shavuot. Shavuot is called the Feast of Weeks. It's called many different names. It's called the Feast of Weeks. It's called Pentecost. Penti is 50, and it's 50 days after the resurrection of Jesus Christ. So it actually counts the actual day on God's calendar. On this next Sunday, the Christian church Christian churches all around the world will follow the Catholic calendar. I call it the Catholic calendar because it's set up by Pope Gregory. Pope Gregory, it's called the Gregorian calendar. And Pope Gregory set it up to, in Daniel it says he's going to change times and seasons. A lot of people have changed times and seasons, not just the Antichrist, and Pope Gregory was one of them. He set up the calendar so that Passover, what they call Easter, in the Bible, it's never called Easter. It's written in there one time, but if you look in the original, it was called Passover. So that would fall on a Sunday, and Pentecost would fall on a Sunday. You know, God doesn't work by our calendar, so he works by his. And so I'm so thankful that I have a calendar that uses God's timing and our timing on the same page. And, there's, it's also in 30 AD, and this is also the death date, anniversary of the death of King David, 837 BC. 1312 BC was 50 days after Exodus, and this is when the Torah was given by divine revelation to Moses on Mount Sinai. You should read that. That is so amazing. The people were so afraid because God was thundering, and the whole thing, mountain was shaking and everything, and they heard God speak actually. And in 30 AD, the church was born, and you can find this in Acts chapter 2. Now, it wasn't born on Pentecost Sunday on the Pope's calendar. It was Pentecost 50 days after. It was on God's calendar. On God's calendar, he keeps time. And so the church was born. The Holy Spirit descended in the 120 in the upper room in Jerusalem when Peter preached the greatest sermon of his life, and 3,000 religious Jews were born again that day as a result. There's 6 different connections between the 1312 BC and 30 AD Pentecost. So let's look at it. At Mount Sinai, they were one mind and single heart. And Mount Zion, they were in one accord. In Jerusalem, they were one accord. At Mount Sinai, they had prepared themselves to hear the Lord from God. At Mount Zion, now remember Mount Zion is Jerusalem, they were all in prayer. So they set themselves to hear from the Lord in 1312, and in 30 AD, they were all in 120 were all in prayer. And by the way, Mary, the mother of Jesus, was up there. So she was filled with the Holy Spirit and began to speak with other tongues. She was one of the 120. At Mount Sinai, they waited at the base of the mountain. And in Jerusalem, they waited for the promise of the Father. At Mount Sinai, a nation was birthed when God covenanted the entire nation. At Jerusalem, a church was born from Jesus' new covenant. At Mount Sinai, the word was given to teach them about God and his ways of being right, being and doing right at Mount Zion in Jerusalem, the teacher came to live inside of them. At Mount Sinai, the heavens were open and Moses went up. Remember, Moses went up? At Mount Jerusalem, the heavens were open and the Spirit came down. Those are some interesting connections in the birth of the church and the birth of the nation. When Israel became a nation, God married Israel. You know, they had over 3,000 missiles shot at them. I haven't heard the latest statistic of what happened, but yesterday it was over 3,000 missiles had been shot into Jerusalem. So continue to lift them up. Chag Sameach. Bye-bye.